Welcome to LabMinutes.com. In this video, we're going to walk you through an installation of a Cisco Identity Services Engine, or ISE, on a VMware virtual machine. Before we can start, there are some prerequisites. First, we need to have the ESXi installed on the hardware with sufficient resources, so you can check out the hardware specification on ISE release notes. Second, you need to download the ISE installation ISO image from a Cisco website, and the file is about 4 gig big, so big in size. Third, you need to have a functional DNS server for ISE to use for name resolution. Fourth, you need an NTP server that is fully synchronized and reachable on the network. And fifth, you need a reachable IP gateway for the whole duration of the installation. So the installation process takes can take up to an hour, so I might need to pause the video from time to time so you guys don't need to sit through the whole installation process. So in our lab setup, we're going to be installing an LM-ISE2, which is an ISE server at IP.103. We also have a switch 1 that's we're going to use for an NTP server at a .1, as well as it being an IP gateway. And we have a DNS server running on a domain controller with IP.40 on VLAN 32. Okay, so before we start, you need to make sure if this is the fresh installed ESXi, you need to make sure you have a vSwitch set up with the VLAN that you want to put your ISE server on. So here we're going to be using a vSwitch 1, and the VLAN 32 has already been created. If not, you can go to the property, and here you can add the VLAN with the virtual machine right there. And then on the vSwitch, you go Edit and Security, and you want to make sure the promiscuous mode has been set to Accept and not Reject. Okay, once you have that, we can go ahead and create a new virtual machine. Here we'll choose Custom, and we'll give it a name LM-ISE2. You choose your data store, and we're going to do VM Virtual Machine version 7. It's going to be Linux 5, 32-bit with 2 virtual CPU. And the minimum of memory that you want to use is 4 gig. If you have a little bit more to spare, you can use more. Here we're going to do 6. Here you select the VLAN that you have created on your vSwitch. And we'll leave that as default, SCSI controller default, and then we're going to create a new virtual disk. For an evaluation purposes, the minimum disk size you might want to do is 60 gig. But here, if you have more space, you can do more. So we're going to do 100 with a thick provision, which is recommended over thin provision. We'll leave that at default. And now towards the end, we want to do Edit the virtual machine. That way, you can select your DVD drive and have it point to your ISO image that we have previously downloaded and uploaded to the ESXi. So here, ISE image 1.1.1, and we want to make sure it's connect.power on. Okay, so we go ahead and finish that. Now the virtual machine creation is completed. We can start it and open the console. Okay, now we prompt it for the installation method. Since we're doing a local console, we're going to select keyboard and monitor, which is option 1. And we'll kick off the installation process. Okay, so we're going to leave that running for now. Let me pause the video. I'll be right back. Okay, so that took about 13 minutes and we're now prompted with the setup wizard. So before we actually go through that, let's verify a couple of things. So first, let's make sure that we can ping our DNS server at 172.16.32.40 from a switch 1. Okay, it's pingable. On the switch 1 itself, since it's going to be an NTP server, let's check the synchronization status and see it's fully synced. And the clock is also good. Okay. Last thing I want to check is make sure the IP gateway for the VLAN is pingable or reachable, and it is. So we are good. Now we can go ahead and step through our setup wizard. Okay, so first you type in setup. Now it's prompting you for the host name. It's LM ISE2. with IP address of 172.16.32.103. Subnet mask 255.255.255.0 with IP gateway of 32.1. DNS domain is labminutes.com for us. Primary name server or DNS server is 172.16.32.40. And if it happens to have multiple name server, then you would do yes, but we don't. So we're going to select no with the NTP server of 32.1. And we also do not have a secondary NTP time source. So no. Time zone is US Pacific. Username, we'll leave a default admin, and the password, you're going to type it in twice and make sure the password meets the complexity requirement, which is uppercase, lowercase, and number. So now it's performing a network reachability check. So while it's trying to bring up the network interface. So while it's doing that, let's see if we can ping the ISE server IP address 32.103. You can see now it's pingable. Let's go back, give it a few seconds. So now it's trying to ping the gateway and the name server. That's why we need to make sure they are reachable. Okay, so now it's going to continue with the installation. We're again going to leave it running. And let me pause the video and I'll be right back. Okay, so that took another 4 minutes or so. Now they're prompting us for the database admin password. So just to show you that it requires a certain length of password, just going to put something like, well, right here, Cisco. So now it's telling you that the minimum length requirement is 11 characters with at least one digit and an uppercase letter. So when you choose your password, let's make sure that it complies to that requirement. Okay. Now it's asking for a user password. So again, same password complexity requirement. Okay, once you're done that, the installation will just keep running. So let me pause the video one more time. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So that took another 25 minutes or so. Now we are at the login prompt. So you can also just use the VMware Console Login, or you can SSH to the box directly. So we're going to try SSH here with 172.16.32.203 SSH. Now we are getting a username prompt, so type in admin. Give it a second. Now for password, it's the password you set during the setup wizard. Okay, now we are in the CLI of the ISE. You can do show run, and you can immediately notice the syntax of the show run commands It's very similar to the regular iOS. Okay, with the name server default gateway that we set, the clock time zone NTP. Can do show NTP. You can see it's all synced with the asterisk in the front. Now before we lock into the web GUI, you want to check the application status and make sure all the services has been started. So go show application status ISE. And here we see the ISE application server is running now. When it first started up, it might say initializing, but now it's currently running, so we're good to go with the web GUI. And also we notice the warning at the bottom here. It said, since we set, we created the VM with the disk size of 100 gig, and here it says the recommended disk size for production is at least 200 gig. But the current disk size is 100, so it's just show you the warning. Now that we know the web GUI should be ready for us, we're going to launch our web browser. We're going to go one HTTPS 172.16.32.103, and immediately we've got ourselves a certificate warning. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with that. And here we have our ISE login page. So go ahead and use the same username and password. Okay, so we're now logging in. And once you're successfully authenticated, you'll be dropped into the dashboard page. Okay, and immediately it prompts you, or it gives you a warning that you're currently running the evaluation copy of ISE. So that will go away once you have installed a valid license. And you can also say do not show this message again. Okay, so now here's the dashboard page for ISE. If you right now go to the administration and licensing, okay, so right here it tells you you have a 90 days left for your evaluation copy. Okay, if you have a valid license, this is where you install it. Okay, so you would click on your node. And say right here you have a base package with 100 endpoint counts, as well as the advanced package with 100 counts, and both will be expired in 90 days. Okay, so if you have a valid license, you would go add services or add service. And this is where you will install or choose your license file. Okay, so that wraps up the VMware version of the Cisco ISE installation. Thank you for watching LabMinutes.com. I'll see you guys in the next video.